The other day, we tried Ali Shan Oolong from Teavivre, and it reminded us of vegetable soup. So we thought it would be fun to put it in some beef stew and see if it improved the flavor of the beef stew. So we're going to take you through that whole process. We're going to explain what we did, and then we're going to taste it and see how we did. So we got 5 pounds of stew meat, and we just salted and peppered it. And then we took the broth off a chuck I made as the beef broth. And our control was just that. The stew meat cooked in the beef broth. So just as basic as you could be. She's just eating right there.
I'm hungry.
And then we brewed up the Ali Shan as tea in a pot. And we strained the tea so that the leaves were out of it. But we used that tea as the basis for a second beef stew with the beef, the stew beef. Mm-hmm. So nothing but the salt and peppered stew beef in that one and the oolong.
I have the oolong. This is the control group. This is just plain old stew. We're going to put some broth in it. This is the stew and the tea. This is my fancy one. This one's going to have tea and salt and potatoes and cream and a few spices.
And then Emma wanted to try a more vegetable route. So she put potatoes in this one. She boiled them a little bit.
Yeah.
And then she put some spices in there and some salt.
And some little bits of rock salt.
And some cream.
I've got some parboiled potatoes here. And some cream. And we're going to go ahead and start mixing that up. Now there is some just juice from the meat cooking.
And when you're cooking a meat in liquid, you call it braising. Now Emma read the Flavor Bible in order to get ideas of what to put in there.
Which I'm going to be putting in basil, cloves, and ground allspice. I'm going to let this start getting cooked a little bit more, and we're going to start on these two. There's that one.
Okay, that's all we're doing to the beef broth version is just beef and broth.
And
salt
Mama,
and pepper.
if you would occasionally stir that one, please.
I shall.
Thank you. So I've gone ahead and put the oolong into the potatoes, and now I'm going to put the oolong into here. And now the sizzling has stopped, and you can hear it gently cooking on all of them. So the reason that we picked this oolong is, again, as I've said, that it has a very vegetable taste. So these two, in theory, should both taste like they have vegetables in them. So now I'm going to go ahead and add the spices in here. I'm going to not measure this. I'm just going to go by eyesight because that is the way that my grandmother has taught me to cook. We just add some basil in. And make sure that everything is just like lightly coated. You don't want the top layer to be fully coated in basil and then the bottom layer not to get anything, because then you're going to have a really messed up flavor of all or nothing, literally. Adding just a little bit of clove and a little bit of ground allspice.
So an hour and a half of cooking, well, after we browned it, of course. Mm-hmm. So now we're going to try it. So this one here is just regular old beef broth.
Looks good, though.
With stew meat. Let's try that.
Very bland.
Tastes a lot like the chuck whose broth it was made from. Okay, so that's good. Obviously, you can put anything you want in there and get beef stew. Okay. And then
we added the Ali Shan to this one, as you can see by the lighter broth color.
Yeah, so this is actually the base of it is
Smell that.
Ali Shan Oolong.
Smell that.
Smells good. Now we did brown the beef in butter, so there's a little butteriness too. Oh, more tender than this.
Definitely.
I like it.
But if you think this is tender,
All right, so
try
this
it.
one,
This is flavorful too.
this one has the potato in it, so it's got the starch that thickens.
And the flavors.
Plus, you've got
The
cream
spices.
in there, also thickening it,
And spices.
and spices.
It's not so much better.
Now, to me, what you did there tastes like Chinese 5-spice. I have to say my favorite is just the Ali Shan as the base with the meat.
Mom, that's not the Ali Shan.
What is it?
That's the broth.
That's the broth?
You
This is the Ali-
confused yourself.
Well, I like the Ali Shan. That's what I'm saying. This is the Ali Shan.
I like mine. Which is the one in the bowl. Mine has a little bit of spice, like a little bit of heat at the back of your mouth.
This one's just straight salt and pepper, so you can do whatever you want. But this is interesting, and I recommend you try it.
The tea adds a very nice taste to it. And definitely, if you add the spices, add the potatoes. Because the potatoes help kind of calm the spices.
Potatoes are actually so good at sucking up stuff that if you add too much salt to something, the way you get that salt out is put a potato in there, and then take the potato out, and you've taken the salt out too. Because potatoes love to sponge up stuff. So try this, and until we see you again,
Make time for some really good tea recipes.
and a good book.